Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Because it's a major way over the years and ya can't asem and the yame say. So what now her challenge and MPP for air to a more new goose or more canny day as if say in the last 8 years, now they were not in Ghana. These are the people who created the mess. It's the reason why the last time I was telling them, say, Sikana na ye sink into those senseless enterprises like the National Cathedral and other way, you know. Sa Sikana ye di nyansadia, ebianka ye ni ha ne. You created this mess, and few years after, no, you expect Ghana to turn into maybe California, or it's not possible. You understand? It will take gradual process to build the foundation now, or more wrecky, now I build it upon, and that is what the president, at this point in time, so here the economy now. Clearly, the indicators or the statistics point to a positive direction. Is the reason why all the rating agencies in Inasha say rating Ghana positive because the economy na asha say enya footholding and the dollar rate I appreciate here and also no give you and investor confidence in Ghana's economy. Unlike the previous time, what I say, but the same jokers sitting on the sidelines after they've created this mess. There is this conversation of Nipano Motia Sikana. Ya disqualify mono yen sign and refine almost no bisa almost abro mo ton forms no more to China na no more Cote d'Ivoire because some of us over the years have advocated say in here say obi ko security we be ton form man ya Canada and because of political capital and no and omotiasima pretending to be a voice for the people but bisa say that by na MPP by making directives say forms my ton. And do you be a sabi? Something you are guilty of in the last 8 years, you know. Back at you be so refund this amount. I think they're going forward, you know. We need to set the record straight. Now you're making sure, say, your priorities and going forward, you know. Yeah, ma ubi aba security agencies, ma sa form turner na se form no. Yeah, through. Now there are ways, you bet me to control the number. There are specialty areas, you bet me demand your first application. Now ye sana, I think say about limited the numbers. And again, ye suku no so na amount for go the certificate bar. Which certificate won't mean no. I think we need to, you know, infuse a certain vocational training be into. And by the time a nipa be free secondary school, but apart from the certificate, you know, or better than in so it become a double kind of something. But we are training people in arts, we are training people in several humanity courses. I know the day, you know, nipa no ba ya burden on the state, but other areas never nipa na ba self-employed, no, we pay least attention to. Look at the emerging space and technology, AI, Internet of Things. There are several other avenues. You pay attention to some of these things. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. School no is supposed to be mastering people in arts, in technology and so forth. But then the humanities are jafa. And now quite law, all the humanities courses, you know, students in the the core science and the tech people in KNUST. Actually, say we are in danger as a country, you understand? So these are some of the things. Normally, we narrow the scope of the conversation, not because of political expediency, you know, or member standardizing way, me accuse way, but the actual problem na end up pinning some of these occurrences, you know, we pay least attention to. I don't know people call Kwame Nkrumah School of Science and Technology. Now we are expecting say he's equipped with all the technological stuff. No about catch us say or person ko police and person ko soldier. And or no ankasa ntumi nye bibi man ho. What I say? I just say your model no, we need to retool it and pay much attention to job available. Because you see, China sat down. They realize their strength, look at their problems, and then they've been able to turn things around. Because my culture say China na or mind back one more door so power we say and India na the most populated country in the world. China tosu two and but the more and so more chance who some more numbers, you know. Then they decided to leverage the number, turn it into economic advantage. And now production is very high, you know, because our numbers are not a bottle na or produce or a lot of people to buy more than America. What I say, and China has become a production hub, apart from serving their own market, you know, and then look at the cars that are coming to our space. Yeah. All Chinese cars. Why? Because they've been able to produce for themselves and they are exporting and they are making money. And because they realized that there was a gap between almost school, no, need a job available. Then they decided to bridge the gap. You know, the schools in the name of man for no, sa job no, is it available here? That was the last time I catch us. Obi from University of Ghana, Bank of Ghana, so or quiet, your friend is saying internship. Ajuma be na ya so koto credit and koto koko. they will not bring the person close because the person needs knowledge no dey ba no oja the computer no man or be say neema man no. So there is a gap between academia and the job market. How do we bridge it in the long term? But very often your focus in a short term political dividend. I able to achieve within a short period. My culture said no nation and the way we are here. Atimia grow based on short-term interventions, and as for it must be long-term. You plan, and the nation will lead towards that, and that is the only way. So I think this is a major problem that we need to pay much attention to. Now you move on as a country. Now you create other avenues. President Mahama, that question in Sanwa Jumefe, or Kaso Baby Obey. Okay. Because I had infrastructure in 2016 abra oko, and the signature project in this country. And I think it's something or they seen this one, for instance, we open this particular channel here among ever security agencies, and there are other avenues obetimi engagement with private sector almost obetimi maximize more capacity. Now on my na dream say be discipline and so no we working within our means. Na sikana over the years yet too good yam farm more papa will chroma say no. You make sure that those monies, will be invested in other areas. Young people, on the case of Ofori-Atta, you see, it's very shameful. Saying the MPP ni betimi jina for radio so na TV so. What be say obi can say obey ora and na onya yeah. But the same person, any issue with the fact that Ofori-Atta Johnny Aquacotina baby. Ofori-Atta any ordinary person. The financial chain and the Akufo-Addo government, the person sitting at the top, the pinnacle of it, Ofori-Atta, finance minister, every single payment transaction be a cost for my mubiano. Now I go through him. To ministry, everything. So he is a subject of interest. But America for no money when it comes to some of these things, are very complicated. I'm a mention you see, the last time now man for say I didn't in America for bus or mobile fat among boys no my fraud and 10 times now no. But when it comes to Ofori-Atta, they are not sense or more to kill Monsano. You see, we signed a treaty somewhere around 1931 with your friends America. UK phone a son on our behalf. And I hear twice so. And when it comes to extradition, it come in twofold. Your friends say ordinary crimes like petty crimes, then a fraud. Your friends saying then as a forum, and your friends saying political. Your friends saying cases, and now say your friends military crimes, military offenses, and political related offenses. These things are very delicate because sometimes my buying bet me about when you I can chant you. Okay, so they pay particular attention to these things. You need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt. It's not because of persecution. Okay. That is why you need to go through series of layers. And to be a political prisoner, and also a political offender, to extradite that particular person, you need to prove beyond every reasonable doubt to say intention now would they find the real. And it's not just America. The last time I catch us a WikiLeaks, almost CEO no Julian Assange, or Cotton Ecuador, or more embassy na UK no. Or tell for how many years? America of all countries, very powerful, no, did all that they could until recently. And I think there's certain arrangement to be here. So when it comes to this thing, are very complex and complicated. And Onim is the reason why Wakofato no say man because Onim say back and forth no a better key a number of years. Now my culture say it's a shame. Say Obi Betimia Obedi finance minister of Ghana. Now no from accountability. A show the kind of people Akufo-Addo brought on board to come and serve this country. Obakaya but now platform culture say una who so a finance minister or no enya finance minister o. Ne wa fa na be adwuma no friend no abetinam he can just mess up. I don't know the day he doesn't want you to and I say he doesn't want to account because ono no mebu o man no wa fa na nya akonwa no odi. And one friend and baby. So he doesn't feel so accountable to anybody. Even within the MPP crowd, he didn't respect anybody. This is a guy, he could just speak to anybody anyhow. It got to a time the MPP people wanted him out because of the mess he had created. What happened? All the people who led that particular crusade to have Ofori-Atta removed, all of them were booted out. Except few. They sponsored making sure that 2 or more in their primaries. It's show how powerful this particular guy is. And second Ofori-Atta say Emeyina no not baby. If there is any blame, I think it should be apportioned to him. And you see, this whole thing, I feel it's a very embarrassing. The Ofori-Atta namu ene, expose the kind of people they are, and amakanya mamua ombebuchire Ghana for. Enti, so we are Ghana near Maya. I am not sure, say people should be heartbroken because Ofori-Atta nyamaya. Because as long as he stays, or no one and expose who they are as people. And unfortunately for him, look at where he is today. The whole finance minister of Ghana, our nama Bible ne your friends cross at the Danukomu says be Pope Wafasiye. And ne on yes, on the criminals and that detention center in America. Because to Donald Trump, people he's keeping at that particular places, I don't know, of more criminal aliens. That is his description, and that is the kind of people category Ofori-Atta is part. The whole finance minister, and you see, it's very embarrassing because Ghana, ubenya ye media ya na ye ka ho asem. But are you aware, sir? In his case, BBC is reporting, CNN is reporting, and all major platforms are talking about it. So it is the scope of his embarrassment and our selling out there. And there is this silly justification people are selling out there, say, Oba, onya fair hearing. Mahama by one watches in Dakota prison.
Ofori-Atta.
Akufo-Addo obu amamuo bone de sika kotu amana no. Ono kwa na nam hodi dida. Oko state functions. Oko bi na no independence we wan hunu ho. Wana ache no. Ba umia ne PDS na for wan so obi achire no. So you see, these are silly justifications because obia ni ho a oti krom ha aban beka se maban na abanti ma chechiro ubetin ha so. Nobody, you need to go through the mill of prosecution. At the end of the day, if the person is proven guilty beyond every reasonable doubt, then you can take the person to prison. But when guilty, nothing stop him from coming because at this age, and then about Utima also copy citizenship for America at this time. When you know, say, when now we are finance minister, you supervise over the worst economy in the history of this particular country. Through Ofori-Atta, then a busi and force nam hono mo church was and some hunuba justifying why he shouldn't come. Or more than a t-shirt to come. I'm for say embarrassing. You know what this guy has done to people because of him. Saga Pharmaceuticals, Papa Nuya, because of DDEP. And there are several people who lost their life because Ofori-Atta decided to borrow foolishly against all advice. In the end, you know what happened? He had to come back to the people who investment a wire with their bank, the government will forcefully take it. And as a result, a lot of people died. Look at the people who were demonstrating. This is the embarrassment he brought on people. And you are sitting somewhere telling people, now if you have a sense of where will you do that? There is no decency in our politics. And parliament na afenyo marking and co no more kasa. I think they should tell them to do everything that they can to bring Ofori-Atta back. Because this is a guy on the engine of their government. And then with Janity baby, you have the infantry to up yourself in parliament and be talking what? Ghana is a serious country, and I'm telling you, sir, nobody will listen to any of these people talking because you see, there is no moral justification. We've gotten to a point politics is not just about talking kekeo. Credibility is key. Ghana for first and politics and Ghana for they understand politics, they understand the issue. So if you want to speak to them, if you want to criticize somebody, what credibility? Because you cannot be guilty of something just where William Frimo. Then because there is a political capital in something to harness, all of a sudden you turn around to do politics about it. So for me, I think that is a shame. This Ofori-Atta guy will continue to walk in the hall of shame as long as he stays where he is now. So we are Ghana near, don't be worried. As long as he stays, because the state is doing everything. The Attorney General, in collaboration with the special prosecutor, you know very well, sir. The process is BS or Muye Biano towards your friend is saying extradition be or my culture, the process is quite cumbersome. Yes, you prepare your indictment, you call the federal court in the United States of America, where Ofori-Atta will have lawyers, the state will not bring lawyers. America will be your friend is saying Obejinama. Now see it me, yes, I never we are. Now say we're able to prove our case. Then the State Department and the DOJ in America will make the determination as to whether Ofori-Atta will come or not. By now, there is a double chance for us. The detention center, no one, is also in play. So we are just looking at it. But at this point in time, the government of Ghana has no control over the situation. So let us put in on that. And it's only moral obligation to come to this country. I can Ofori-Atta and the MPP, the other jokers on social media seeking to rationalize this whole thing. For me, let us put that particular burden on them to discharge it, because he has to come. State, he's doing everything. Now, so when you're born here,
that's what
what does American say? So I think we need to get serious. Ukraine Russia war by NDC for the year campaign. And like sometimes you listen to the argument and the poverty of intellect in it, sometimes it's quite annoying. You see, answer na Ukraine Russia war the World Bank country director say the rate at which we were borrowing, we risk defaulting on our debt obligations. Anti-COVID by sub-region Zambia, and they're the first country or default on its debt obligation. Second, Ghana.
China for guys who will take you over the airport.
Yes, because the kwacha at the time, which their currency was the worst performing currency. I got to a time and Ghana and they were second. And it wasn't because Ukraine-Russia war and the best Ghana economy. Now, ya bobosiana be ye kenke party a bobosiana the state agencies, including your first Bank of Ghana and your first Cocoa Board and Kasa a bobosiama economy no abubu. The ratings were quite clear. And again, Ukraine-Russia war no, the impact on Ghana no wasn't direct, because over sub-region countries in North Africa like Morocco, Egypt, they trade a lot with either Ukraine or Russia. Ghana, you trade share with Ukraine and Russia. And I'm told that Neman is serious.
Yeah, serious.
And that it did not in any way affect your friend saying petrol, any of those kind of items.
Yeah.
But of course, our Strait of Hormuz issues now, about 90% of oil are countries like South Korea, Japan, even China, America na wakan ntokwa the oil efa just 2%. And that is why Donald Trump said on daily basis, could release it over 400 way into the market, sabeya obe stabilize way.
Yeah.
So say Amanoka say oil is selling at the global way last 2 weeks. Now you're over $100 per barrel.
That's true.
You expect Senka by now. And Ghana year turn over 20 cities.
Yeah.
But Enam said we do the import everything in dollars, and then the currency has been stabilizing. The effect is minimal. And because your friends say when it comes to oil, Iran, your friends say major power. And some of the countries affected within the region, the Gulf countries, power, your friends say energy blocks in this country. Global prices and as for. And oil is one thing a price, Yantanagan high determine. And Krofuko be determine. So whether you like it or not, whenever they mention the your friends saying almost set the price now, it actually affect everybody, including even America. Because America, diesel is for prices are high. What I say?
Yeah.
So upo you have that particular impact. But if you're able to manage your currency properly, at the end of the day, the impact will be mitigated. And I think that there is something that government will also have to pay attention to. Watch it. Some of the fuel stations, I shall say, you're holding.
Okay.
Yes. Okoha.
I'm going to try and war.
Okoha, they have it. And me call almost 2 filling stations. Okoha almost a petrol.
Oh, Samum.
Oh, yes. 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 And I have my new report from other people. Okoha, they are more petrol, but almost a windy petrol. And I think that this is something that government will have to pay much attention to. National security for it, yeah. Pay attention to, because I are deliberate. So when they are hoarding, and oil no more can say price no cost, and yeah, because it is not an actual shortage, a expected shortage. And amount for this at a price, because as we stand now, amount for oil, there is a free flow of it at airco.
Yeah. And
I'm told that Donald Trump is making provisions that the U.S. Marine will be escorting your friend saying some of these we already know my 80% insurance. So what they tank kofa and also what they will ship kofa now say will suffer any damage via 80% insurance.
Okay.
And there is enough motivation for people to go. So price that who know I expected shortage and amount for their price. It's not an actual thing. So Ghana impact or her it's understandable because Sana affected by Ukraine-Russia war did not impact heavily on, because how many countries and rely on Russian oil? Russia nankasa oil no use to do now from the Gulf Strait to Honey Freeba. Over the years, Iran and a man much of the fuel and Venezuela and Trump game now oil no chess game no play in China. China na all cut oil supply because the major suppliers over the years has been Venezuela. And the same Venezuela and no some provide oil for Cuba. And Cuba has a sea, Oko Cuba, they are in crisis. And from the past bear we no muda sumu. And the same thing, such as game in all play against China because the major producers of oil to China are Iran and Venezuela. And then he's trying to cut them off. Now person will move in terms of economy in as a form. Then we hear you need fuel. In as much as we say we are shifting from fossil, oh boy, we are then the oil economy will continue to dominate. So a chess game no move playing about what in China with emotions about cancer minus a yaka. Or they are playing their own game. Is the reason why I've always advocated say Africa. And then all the major powers are regrouping. America is setting authority. And then the middle powers in Sono Air try to do better Europe and almost trying to regrouping.
Africa's heading.
In terms of natural resources, we are the richest. In terms of human resources, land size, me say Ghana, Africa is 3 times larger than Europe. We have everything that is take to succeed. But I'm say yenni mentality say be abuama development and as for we are still here. So I think that time has come for Africa. Now yes, we strategically say at the geopolitical arena, no countries are regrouping, asserting the authority and their interest. Yes, and you have situation like this. You better take care of it because Ghana produces oil. One of the largest producing way, your friends in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And to say you refine, you produce, you refine way. And will be affected by what is happening at the global stage. Even though to certain extent, but it will be limited. What I say over the years. Until combat in Amati say Obaye Tor or try to revive it. Tor was almost a collapsed entity. But government was behind a private firm.
And yet almost to a collapse.
A collapse, yes. So from the scratch, the gentleman is building arm toes and they have capacity to refine almost
28,000.
Yes. So yes. You see, so with time, who say because what people don't know is America for oil. What people don't know is that America is the biggest producer of oil in the whole world. That is what people know. On the Saudi Arabia distance done in terminal and the ketwa because they've added fracking. So you don't need to have a natural deposit. They are using fracking to add up to their way. And when it comes to oil, America is the leading producer of oil in the whole of the world. But because fracking, machines in as for my building over the years, who use oil now, and so they have to sell it and buy the light one a bit to power on my industries and so forth. And you no cause world problem and fano. And so bet Donald Trump and some kind and say, or say, if I say challenge in the to be temporal and fano hosa and to quano no come to what you say, or by near my yama, what or on the tibo boom no, or you know, biaho. So I think that I see a shas in the air near my ye. Na ya tutu ye near my ye produce oil, Nigeria for produce we produce be. By there in Africa, you produce 8 million yamana ye. Enka they produce 60 to almost best 70% of the whole world cocoa. We are seeing Cote d'Ivoire. Watch it with ye.
Ethiopia.
Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. 60 to 70% of we have a worldwide cocoa production. Now, I didn't know to be determine price. Now, Cabran determine price mine because cocoa no corner so on time. Saw the young quantity. We didn't find your share, I say, and to only determine how much the person is buying. But yet, me add the value to it or chrome higher, and I will turn one. Don't you think, Senka, you have the leverage and advantage to set your own price?
Silos in chroma, yeah, but you store grains.
Now, your friends says, our cocoa marketing board, no. And we are no more the car, actually, when you go up on the ocean and Akufad because no more the 300 million Ghana cedis. And now, Cabranet, one of cocoa farmers, inside you almost say, I'm sorry because I buy 80. He said, there is no sense in this sort of propaganda because if I will do propaganda, I will do a propaganda that is reasonable within a context. I will be justify to rational minds. But they think they are dealing with fools. But you see, by a bedroom be a Ghana for because at this point, the global market price of cocoa is available. Cote d'Ivoire for could have maintained this particular price, but almost so almost 50% and then almost 1,500. And the Ghana could have done the same thing, but the president has maintained say even though a swatted there, but I'm paying 90%. That is a plus. So how on earth would anybody go and do propaganda like I say COVID bar crano? Not your friend say yanti cocoa. So what has COVID got to do with cocoa? COVID no cocoa. Different, like what is the relationship? Because these are different commodities with need all market and everything all together. So I think it's a wake-up call to us as Africans. We cannot always sit down and impact how it's going to affect our economy. No, we need to make the move, making sure we build all the buffers. I know the things like this, but we will not rely on also exploit situations like this. We need to bring them to book because some of the oil companies, the filling stations, almost as a and you can check check some of the filling stations. That is what they are doing. Oil and Rami call baby woman now sorry baby we free about so we be or boy what I say. But nobody is checking them. So I think we need to be very proactive. Now you're making sure we take the bull by the horn. Now you can take your destiny because what's in channel be determine destiny amawa or only interest will be paramount.
I know.
Yes, you think America will champion your interest? No, they won't. And Donald Trump will cry by you cry there, which is what I say, what I say. And you know, we need to take our destiny into our own hands. Near prioritize it near my here and can oil by in Nigeria. You collaborate. There is a refinery. Yanka say refine for our own usage.
No.
You will mitigate your friend said the impact our world market, and that is what countries do. But we need every blessed day we have to rely on import from outside. Any time there is a shift, it will affect you. You understand?
Osha yes so you two or you be what takra.
Innocent. Brakwaba.
Fraud ebeye the obeye no when you through honor or human being, it doesn't matter whether the person is pope, they will collect to their evil best and take advantage of the situation. So the C systems and structures are there to be able to say they are filters at any point in time. You go through various stages. For instance, my contract at the Mobi, you say when a particular sum amount, you need to go through public procurement authority. The procurement authority will also have to study the documents in it near my way and either some approval and I say my approval. But in recent times, these structures ideally, as a year Jumano, most of it are by a rubber stamp. And the sort of effective way as I achieve you will not see it. And can be and abuano and a and this Obakaya, Abra Obama Baha saying, Assemble call catcher and say,
strong institutions,
not strong men. And it's true because structurally, when you have strong institutions, they're very effective. For instance, you have strong parliament, you have strong judiciary, you have the legislature, you have the court system. I mean, you're independent and very robust. I know the day, you are scared. Say, what
do you think Obama meant when he said strong? Because people misinterpret it. I don't think people got what he really meant. Because Ebinum Soka said, no, you need strong men because they're strong men and they make it strong institutions. What did he mean by the structure or how we form them? You talked about the independence
of various institutions. You can institutions and as a form so when human beings begin to guide these institutions with conviction and absolute within the legal prescription, Adiana and Shana Dosiam Fanyano, Nipa da Sanina Bedia Nimu Amaya. So in as much as he's saying, strong institution, the strong institution can only be interfaced by strong men with strong conviction. And
a strong men with strong conviction, they don't drop from.
No.
They are made here.
Yes, they are made here.
So and what makes them?
What makes that particular person say, for instance, Nipano I find in a particular place. The person is not influenced by monetary or personal gains. The person allegiance is strictly to the state and to ensure the interest of the state at any point in time will be safeguarded and protected. And because free home, but he's looking at the generational gains and the sort of dividends personal interest. But who had the structure na many of the people who very often get opportunity, don't get there because of merit. And I say because ebi nipa ne deserve. They are there because of certain alliances, affiliation, and the sort of relationship be or with maybe the power that be. So it is on that basis, and you did to me in a money part. Now, madam for Nayawo. Now, say you are not appointing me on the basis of merit, but because you think so, madam for Naya, I mean, for way man, meba. My allegiance will not be to serve the people, but be to you because I know the day you called me on because me a for. So the sort of conviction, the sort of mental preparedness or expected from Nipan or the Bayer Jumana is not there because no, he doesn't see that he's serving a nation. He is there because he's serving a friend who has brought him on board. Okay.
It's like Lee Kuan Yew.
Okay.
Or say me build it third world. What me free third world. Abba, a friend saying.
First world model.
Na the me and say me ni bibia ana me kru no ankasa no kra no enhye da ni kruma kru fufuro bi mufo ne abo mo no nti no de and say me use the say a friend superior intelligence what dem chena say nti wo adwuma no a me fa se brabe no me ma ho aka de me ma wo katuapa ya adwuma no na ma me results o pa pe memfa ho nchew what them chances. So there was some level of intentionality backed by conviction oka ho asem and so many other things me fan say sustainability so ka ho what them chances consistency and unse he was there for a long time and only the account to or yes sad and to so no na damfo no obefa wa adwuma mu a wonim say ye rough a obekọ what them genasi and that which we call the system no ye democracy na wo sha say odidi ode kan no is it structured to be able to contain the system you are talking about?
Ideally it's supposed to, but said a wusika no deliberately no yamfan kan ho on paper you see say a kan ho but the reality is it's not part of it. And it's the reason why you see, said yes, every great nation be able who assassins be no and no a come out of great ideas. I would be good at the baseline structure, a big general so I'm what pay your mind see hono. So what designed the structure which the physical framework Ghana your president, your parliament, your court, the structure is there. But the next question is how effective is this system in terms of their connectivity just to ensure say the ultimate goal idea see this no you bet me achieve. So if you can't find those things, for instance, say obi ye adea etia or minor crime ben so na fast or punishing the panel. And what is the objective of that particular punishment? Is it to punish the person because or the other side? And now to establish a certain conventional red lines, to send a loud message to people out there, say, more minor consequences are and you will be guided wherever you are. And at that time, and you afraid now or hinibia winim no non-compactual because the systems has been done in such a way, say, and give you room for those things. For instance, in America, when you jump red lines, and yet Madam for the minister being a friend, one kasana, it will not even occur to you, you understand? But Adam said we haven't been intentional about some of these things. Police in chewa or no slow because him say maybe you are connected to somebody powerful. And now opposition be a war because these systems are not there. And there are things that for us to achieve whatever objective, we must be very deliberate that we see use that particular word in our approach just to ensure say these systems must work because until said these systems whatever we do it will be like washing your feet about socks
so making these systems work and pimping so it has got to do with say the least human interface. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Because human interface, a DOS, a yanteswa. For instance, say, port. Okay, say paperless. 100 chance. Nipa binum sha see for so ya say paperless because omunim say omuntimi emfa so enye de also omoye. Apart from say Becca say ye de ye can say auditors. Yes, from internal auditors. Internal auditors na ide o makwa kwatena ho no. Ai nim so no mbe check ama bibia koso no. Nipa no a wo check no ono na ma ni bibi di. The ebema internal auditor na function no. The obesign is ade no a ebema internal auditor na ye adwuma no. Ono internal audit sa nipa no na be sign. Na one ebema obi tuo ma no de abebo no.
Yeah, you see, and America say sa we a structural problem and causes multiple factors and coming into some of these things, because it is argued everywhere said in order to so to achieve effective government, excessive human discretion and excessive human interface, and so it will remove as early as possible. Because whenever you have individuals exercising those discretion, very often personal way coming in, one of favoritism then as a form a woman. So who design a system now? You design to do away with some of these things. That is why I say this excessive individual discretion must be substituted for institutional discretion and dictate. So institution, I want the objective, and the institutional objective prescribe what has to be done at any point in time. So when you have these layers of structures in place, for instance, or Bank of Ghana, now you want to take a certain policy direction. I know the goal of Bank of Ghana, maybe in the short term, long term, or medium term, and they determine the options that are available. It's not the BOG boss, but that's sort of free in the fear, but say, way. That will be his personal discretion. But when the institution, I want the objective. Now I said this direction, institution and now kasa want the guidelines. The only thing that the BOG boss and the executive available, no, say. You supervise this particular process just to ensure that we achieve the objective for ADC and so. But make us say, I am mess up. The institutional dictate and the institutional discretion, you are substituting for individual discretion and excessive human interface. And at the end of the day, most of the decisions is spearheaded by individuals at the behest of individual, your friends, personal emotions, the personal way, instead of or mind way, And at the end of the day, in the face of these excessive individual discretions, and near man go wrong, or be someone say, what is the punishment in near my a best care will be a man exercise those your friends and discretion. For instance, we live in a country, a political corruption. It's not just about so be about chrono. Even we flee your friend is saying, so one man or minor lose sika, you can be punished for that. Because you are making allocation, which means even if all exercise discretion, not discretion is deemed unreasonable. Now, so more minor lose bibia. You are supposed to. But look at the Auditor General report about thing. Look at the infractions. Look at the Niema Ekom. Now what's your tenancy beside one say? Me shall see more Auditor General report. And you know, so why a morning show I check. Now ya de Niema ni na gubu kakraka na da batu wenim. Book no kan ya wunwie. Afekra na wunwie. No be say Argentina from Rollins Pencil Basin there. Yen to me who they need to take corrective measures. Yen jai macro no si ansana ya the book about thing.
Do you think we haven't seen that need, or we just don't want to disrupt the status quo? Because
some of these internal staff who say complain a business for some of the people within. It's an avenue where they make money. Then as a for them. So until say a certain external force we be pushing, there will be internal resistance against some of these things, because there is no single department that will gonna hire any internal auditors. Now what we say because whenever you are in a particular place, you become part of the system. And we normalize it and we move on. So that is why until yaba tenancy masanya manasisi we no de begubukum. I know the day what is the punitive consequences are assign for people who are caught in the web of these financial misappropriation discrepancies are you don't see any effectiveness because Auditor General report about one thing apart from yes yes charge you be why no one who say what face jail and say anything. So there is enough incentive for people to do some of these things and get away, because it becomes a sort of an institutional norm. Enti see a person mind move on anymore. Some of these nearman as any activity now you making sure say the system no kasano will be allowed to work. Individual discretion, personal dictating as a phenomenon will, even though may be around, but to a certain extent that ain't me affected the larger goal of the country. Trust me, individuals will always have their way, and any system be individuals ever have their way, no, that particular objective of Omaino and muscle, because there is a competing interest. Individuals competing for their personal interest, and the state also competing for a particular interest. But I'm saying, Nipa no woman say push the interest of the state. Now, they are the same people pushing for their personal interest. You know, you see, say Omaino better, and it's the reason why we have Africa. Yeah, you know, you just say democracy. But look, we have all the tools. Now, I did some interesting research. Now, I catch a man for say. So we have countries around the world in terms of human resources. Africa is the richest. In terms of your friend say human resources, we are the richest. In terms of even land size, Africa is 3 times larger than Europe. Now, man for sunlight, so what I say? A different. And Europe, UK, for instance, aging of a Ghana engine. A mindset. You understand? So the mindset, you know, say they understand, say for them to achieve whatever BS or more achieve, you know, they need to allow a system to work. Just to ensure that the system becomes effective and more powerful than individuals. It's the reason why a UK Prime Minister, they're not from a minor. And I'm saying institutions are powerful than or not as an individual, and you know, he will see the need to resign. But Ghana, how the Bena what is a minister be a resign why the bonnet. It does because the person feel powerful and superior to the systems and the institution. So until we begin to elevate these institutions and systems and interface it with a certain punitive sanctions and nipa who said, may ya deal with ya consequences in here, and my way to the consequences, you know, there will be no intervention if set my bonnet and I say idea I go wrong. And until we do that, you know, trust me, we will move anywhere. And I think
just like you were saying,
who's a politician or a supervisory, just to ensure, but said we see Canada, actual people on the ground, no, this technocrat. But very often they miss the debate. Nobody wakes up and talks about technical director or GFR or Bank of Ghana. Always the appointee of the president, because I said the backs stop with you. You understand? So that is why these heads, you know, must also take corrective measures. For instance, there are accountants which are by a jumum, opay and the dang a facial on court, your friend is a leave. Because or or sorry, what I say. So they are normalizes like that is the way
we've normalized a lot of abnormalities,
and there is nothing external a pushy just to reset some of these things. That is why if
there should be something external that will push it, what should it be?
Oh, it should be
what should it be?
Monitoring, evaluation, and making sure that people now at any point
who
in
is
time,
going to offer that service, some monitoring and evaluation.
Oh, it's available. Yeah, interfacing within our system. They are supposed to work. For instance, this auditing must be periodic. Occasionally, this report must come up, and internally, whoever that is in charge can also run some of these things just to check whatever that is happening.
So internal auditor, head of the department,
yes.
And the best signing in Niama, no be man is coming function. Or no better, yes,
that is his job. That I make us you see say I can say I say any adwuma no be anye because
no what I'm saying is for that internal auditor to function properly.
Yes.
Obey here
tools and
their friends or the adwuma from nipa no also or the no. You know e be then nipa na empower no am na tete no.
Oh,
why can't we have obi from baby fufro?
No,
not necessarily the woman.
They
the remuneration will not be sorted out by the penny,
remuneration you can very often control on it, but you see they also have external auditors, and then very often end up way. But you see the system is such that within some of these individuals, even though you are in the system, but you are supposed to, so all things being equal, so be a juma. I said, sports, way. Very often, you walk around as a but independently, no, be a juma. So, in a normal sense, that is how it's supposed to be. And it's there everywhere in the world, even within the FBI in the US, are investigated by their own FBI people when something goes wrong. Somebody can go undercover, and there are also have police forward internal way or some of these things. That is why when the person I want a conviction or an agent obey the right now, this question will not even come in.
Convictions, and your pania they won't power.
Convictions,
and your pania they won't power. And in your earlier submission, you mentioned says nipa be selfish. What's the mention I say? Ana me no minim say me conscience be catch them said me ye and kwasiasem but no and mama duanidi. How about that?
Yeah, other consequences be any
Consequences even no so
and then mama duanidi na consequences wo
so you've hit the nail right on
yeah.
it. So how do we ensure that there are consequences?
That is why make us say when it comes to some of these things, prosecution, investigation must be swift, immediate, and it must be ongoing at any point in time. Now, your daily accountant to be a Bank of Ghana, your daily accountant to be what maybe a port, and what why it will send certain shivers down your spine.
Yeah, banking
sector clean up. Okay.
We be a regulation, say regulatory whatever directorate.
Yes.
Our Bank of Ghana. Or Juma or Moye, and they say. Sankofono anye de also omoye ma it had to take some 25 billion say 25.5 billion to solve a 9 billion problem.
Yes, so that regulatory laxity is there when institutions begin to fold up and omunyo omojuma are supposed to be and externally there is no pressure on them. For instance, it will interest you to know, say, a Numa or bomb mine waker are state-owned enterprises.
Oh yes.
So the last time I spoke to one CEO and his argument was that Ivan where the young creators say young find your profit. Now I said there is no why you creators say young for mocha. So if it is not for profit, then it must not for council. What I say, all the state-owned enterprises are running at a loss because they are buying the. Because there is no external pressure, because there is a cultural norm, because your boka sana tie. So to anywhere all the state-owned enterprises na sana tie. But say the same entity in the Tama private sector, sana ebeye, because you will not be running at a loss because you are paying human beings. For I understand some of these agencies are very strategic. For instance, Bank of Ghana betimi atenase 1 year. Now catch us who boka over 60 billion. No bizarre say how did it happen? Ubekom no na kwabrane timi fa o man ni sika de koto watch. Now my chama who gold watch. Yetimi koto iPhone ni a chama ye home. Yetimi tua ho allowance over millions of when ye. It's highly unreasonable, and these people are using the existing structures to execute this nonsense. You understand? So for me, I think the system is very effective and robust. They liberate various investigative agents. For instance, the concept of this special prosecutor, no, Nejuma say, like a sniffing dog. You move in because that is. The US say, members away executive and answer assembly tour. Whenever I na FBI drufie. Every single document available. Yes, box just to investigate you. You will not even get.
Na conform to nidin. Na fena and conform. Ebe tutu nidin. Abe friend say it is because of this or that. And conform. Ebe tutu nidin. Ube hunu say whoever obeba ho say oye jakpao.
Yes.
So yeah, why oba for Ghana?
Yes.
It is not because oni obi wa problem. And yet obi no oni no problem. Nemum said the beya Ghana bit me. I work. They understand it as such.
Oh yes.
So me on. Dear me pese me busa passes here. That's my pese me ye share passes here and say. Do you think say baby I was here no? Yenya that opportunity. Say and somewhere ye kan nyina no the yehunu sesia from 2025 January 7 ebano. Do you think say we have been afforded the opportunity to right these wrongs we are talking about per your observation per what is going on any the no? Do you think say Ghana for ye my ho sa opportunity no they say yeah they be righting wrongs na say at the dada no na old gramophone player na channel. What is it? Pay your observation.
I think so ahom keka Ghana for the koto aba your friend saying 2024 na menim say monitor social media. You are very social media person, very active. Now share the anger among people Ghana for as a nyama many nipa. People got fed up with the existing system. So Ghana need bien ho koto abase the tradition should continue. Ghana need ya before koto abase system na from Kwame Nkrumah penso ya sati si ho say ya de boy ho ban no. Serve a certain narrow parochial interest. The larger interest of Ghana and serve. And over the years, young people have been sitting from a distance, and they don't very often get involved in politics. But this time round, you see clearly say obia abete politics as because of the new media, and they have started asking questions. So omo aba sebeya the existing status quo no ebesesa ama nema akọ. So ntiza what da ben na yato aba kroma ama aban sesa na a new government aba the mahama ba a man from Bonachi because economy is bad. A man from Bonachi because maybe dollar no ontimi fama from. A man for a Bonachi because nipo mu free so mo ya krom for esa aban no ejeli omo no ontimi jeli omo. And that is the biggest pressure on the Mahama government today. So that tells you say the consumers of the Ghana politics and almost and this affairs na choboy or suno choboy or webiem, they want you to do the right thing. That alone, that signals alone, no, tells you say the grounds.
What should be done to sustain Sadia?
Yeah, so that what should be done is you see, that is what the last time I was telling you is that the Attorney General need to up his game and make sure that investigations will continue because the energy of the people and the government must always be at par. So when Hena say energy no drop it now with the former, the government will collapse.
But the Attorney General does not need to do press ups to keep up the energy. Oyusu Emra and the dear friend said.
Yes.
What do you think is amiss?
With a modern governance and I evolve to a point at first, and some nipa kakra bi ko wura dem no mo ba but now it is an open book kind of way. So at any point in time you need to keep the people in the whatever that is going. So we had Attorney General now. Or Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The dual role and all play. So in as much as on the you be a prosecutor nipa modo monsa abo mansikamo odiboneno, the same person has a administrative role. And that administrative role requires engagement
to keep us posted.
Yes, because so whenever you create a vacuum, people will fill it, and whatever they fill it with, no, but you can't control.
When he decided, say, oh yeah, what you are talking about, decided, say, oh, keep you posted, no. And now, sorry, press conferences from
who's that?
And these same people,
will
also say that you are not working on status or more updating so because now. Na metie Felix Kwachofuso on key point 23. Ana Osha says obobo niema aban we you know crofo can say 999 and no say chairman want to be a freezing account the mobile money account don't mean send don't mean 5 and he started mentioning certain names nipa we didn't call so all counting say na or say be American go money mass. I'm just giving information to let people no, say actually things and yama koso. Yes, say the wheel of justice grinds slowly. The destination, no, and it eventually gets to the destination. One of them is it is the Oka say the energy of the Attorney General and the expectation of the people should be at par. One of them is the only way you be hunu and they say Obi be catch and say this is what we are doing.
Yes. And America, so you see, if you understand and appreciate modern governance, some of these things, ain't new to you. But because it's something we are not quite conversant with. The other thing say the court, now you're china basa court, and no kwana man for whom. But governance are evolved to a point. The very moment people begin to withdraw their trust and confidence from the government, and that government is dead. So always and always, you can never keep the people in the loop. So the ACBR, you need to update them. So for instance, Yoko say what this guy will be Ghana for a minor John Ebuno, Obuma Ghana for. So when are we just kind of free no how much is involved in us for so that it will satisfy the sort of Nema Amanfo because Amanfo Kotoaba having the impression say a certain criminal cartel took over their country and they stole from the nation. So these people are they being held to account? If yes, the processes involved, you need to keep them because you see, Ghana is not a legal environment to say we must all wait and go to court. There is a political dimension to some of these things. So you need to sustain that trust by communicating through this sort of engagement for people to appreciate happenings. And
you said something before said, and also see a very imperative. I said, the existing Bank of Ghana there, they are using the existing structure because the only answer to gold watch and it's a practice that bonibia. I will nipa him say, Nano Sofu be preacher say, the just and the righteous.
Yes.
The just no say the me yemin to mrebia, but the righteous won't say a woman send to mrebia nenso at your harbeba. What's them chen? They are being just. What's them chen as it? And you know the omoya and say, sa existing structure, but said you can say some cartel be. Say you can say criminally your friend is saying criminally managed economy. Need the can the thing. Ube kombe no. Na politician no chaka no womni e kakra bi. The structure na wo and the people who man the structure no. And omo ma ho kwan ma de course no course. Nti one way ya you are expecting the attorney general say and wo de wani asi nipa ba ko bi so say sa nipa we e wo say ye ni di. But the attorney general so be hwe niam no mu a obehwe obehunu say who authorized this? Then we go through. Then and bank. You tell creative bank account number. Bank neneka. Yes, you trace kadiamano.
Yes. So
no. Obekom no. Politician no dia oye no. Aye be a supervision or ma or yenhwe ha. Ana oje kakra bi ema nipa bi ana wan pe bibia hwe okosan bibi. And so smear trying, but real acronform no that.
oh yes, Ghana had a America. Corruption, yeah, can the very people involved most a civil servant in the technocrat or more embedded within the system. And there are people who are familiar with the system. Obi how what 20 years. So they know all the routes I'll bet me use to no. So these people, no, sometimes it will interest you to know, say, CEO no bar. It is this technocrat who will teach him kind of sika. And the one you be aware strong, now you fall for those things. Then the tradition goes on. What are some American? So
Anna, there is no way about when you scratch.
Yes.
Crumbs no they more.
And I'm winning. I'm committing my home. I don't know the day. One echo fight. Jacobo Biamane until some better than honey about chemo a blow up because what we are seeking is not to recover, but we want the political capital. And in Nipana, no political capital. Harness. We are targeting you because there is a political capital to harness. So Nipana or technocrat no woman no Obia more mudin. And now, there are a lot of technocrats or more if yeah prosecutor or more. But the media be that because the big fish is the politician or not coming with political capital. That also deals your mindset. What are saying as for so I think that these things, you know.
Javan, what na say me na no me chwa na me kai President Kufuor by no. Proceed on leave prior to retirement. Me trans ya adwen ho no o hwa na sana na wo say
oh yes you need
because you try radio so discuss here can say na ba no ya pam kofo because san krofo no
yes
san krofo no
it depends when there is an actual way ufri se nipa na ye there are evidence you don't even need to ask the person to proceed on
leave. Auditor General's report.
So, and American, so some of these things, you know, it's not just about proceeding on leave, especially
Auditor General's report. The afibiano sikano balloon.
Yes, to Auditor General report, you know, what you can do is to set charge, but in terms of the criminal aspect of it, you know, must be prosecuted because the only way you can punish OB in this country is when a court of competent jurisdiction says so. So a very complex kind of scenario, but you can ask the person just to proceed on leave pending investigation. You understand? So at the end of the day, if the investigation and up say a near way and a wire administratively in the way you can lay people off based on some of these things. I
don't know how it works, but Auditor General gather evidence now.
Yes.
That's all the prosecutor now.
Yes.
What rule no because we see it's been people have been requesting and sometimes now you mentioned set charge. Must have prosecutorial powers. Because me, I'm gather evidence. No?
Yes.
And I understand the figures much more than what the Attorney General. What's the General say? If our Attorney General and all the technicalities, no near that sorry, Attorney General no all the technicalities no near that no near that na obehwe no na ade no anipa na disikani enya idea no. One them channel. One to me and fa and yeah, Juma and to me and prove point enough.
No, when the prosecution is ongoing, the technical people who actually went to the ground, very often they call them as witnesses to provide details near my call. Because Attorney General is the only person that is armed with powers to prosecute some of these things. So when it comes to the technical details as to what actually happened, some of these auditors are very often called upon to provide these technical details.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.